What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is Talking Oscars. And we're going to do two things here today. I'm going to quickly give you, because it is March 1st and I'm dropping this on, so I'm going to quickly give you my SAG predictions for tonight. The Actor Awards. The dumbest thing we've done is to change them to the Actor Awards. Like, everything is going to be like the Director Awards, the Cinematographer Awards. We're just going to keep telling people we're going to dumb it down for them in case people don't know what SAG is. We're going to rebrand them. Just say the whole title then, Screen Actors Guild. And if people still can't figure it out, then they don't deserve to watch it. So, in the major film categories, and then I'm gonna give you my ballot. This is how I would have voted for the Oscars. So, anyway, for SAG Ensemble, I'm gonna go bold and say Sinners. I think Sinners might be the film that SAG actually votes for, to hint that it's a little bit closer. There's a thought process here that people think that it's going to be just like one battle sweeping everything. I think Sinners is close enough that it's gonna win something and make people go, ooh, uh, ooh, frisky. And feels like such an ensemble movie, whereas One Battle feels a little bit more like it's the big actors who are like basically all represented in acting categories. So Sinners has a depth of an ensemble that they weren't able to nominate. I'm gonna go with Sinners for actor. Uh, yeah, I think they're gonna go. I think they're gonna go somebody different for actor. I do. I don't know they're gonna see. This is the SAG, right? They just gave it to Chalamet last year, and for the Oscars, while I think it's gonna be Chalamet, I don't know that it's gonna be Chalamet twice in a row for SAG. I don't know that he's just gonna sweep twice. And so it kind of makes me wonder who else could win because we're not really giving a whole ton of consideration to everyone else here. We don't have a Wagner Mora here. We have a Jesse Plemons instead. And so I'm wondering if we can't have a surprise. And I'm thinking, I want to swing big here. And I want to say that actor goes to Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. And I know that that's crazy. But there's something about the fact that Chalamet just won for Complete Unknown here, and that these are the people who are filling out the ballot, and they may be thinking to themselves, didn't I just vote for Chalamet last year? Like, they're sort of aware of what the Oscars are, and they're sort of connected to it, and they're like, yeah, I did just vote for Chalamet. Do I want to vote for Chalamet twice, 2 years in a row? I don't know, man. And I think it's going to go to DiCaprio or Jordan. And that would be my guess. If it's not Jordan, I think it's DiCaprio. I don't think Chalamet wins this. I think this will be the one thing. And after him losing the BAFTA, people will be like, wait a minute, is he going to sweep? I think he's still winning the Oscar. Don't get me wrong. But there's something weird about the mathematics here. It's sort of like how we have people get really excited because Sean Penn won the supporting prize of BAFTA. It's like, yeah. So how many BAFTAs does he have versus how many Oscars? Because the math here is talking about him winning his third Oscar versus his however many BAFTA. So I don't think that's his third BAFTA. I do think it matters, but we just can't put ourselves always in the mindset, and people don't always know how many awards those people have won. And if it's those people voting for those awards, and they're especially while SAG voters may not be aware year to year. I mean, like for the totality of like how many times a certain person has won a SAG award before, they know who they voted for last year. I mean, like that's nobody has that much short term memory loss. Like, didn't I just check this box last year? I think I did. Um, so I think it could go to Michael B. Jordan, if not DiCaprio. Anyway, so for actress, the great Rose Byrne, Jessie Buckley debate. I think it's Jessie. I do. I still think it's Jessie. It could be Rose Byrne, but I think Jessie has the more accessible movie. I think If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, while Rose's performance is extraordinary in that it's just inaccessible enough for her to lose just enough votes to Jessie for Jessie to win here. The only counter to that is that Rose has been in more American projects for the Screen Actors Guild of America. than Jesse has. So that's my reserved, my only thing that I'm like, what if? Um, but Jesse, for supporting actor, we don't even have Stellan because SAG voters are xenophobic. Um, so we didn't nominate any international nominees. Not even Stellan Skarsgård, despite the amount of American movies this dude has been in, he couldn't get a nomination for sentimental value. Um, so I think it's going to be Benicio del Toro. I think this is going to continue to be a year where it's spread out, and it's going to be one of the more interesting Oscar years. So, in addition to not predicting Chalamet, I'm also going to not predict Sean Penn here because I also don't know that Sean Penn is the front runner for the Oscar. So, I think that because he won BAFTA, it makes me want to predict someone else. I can't imagine anybody voting for Miles Caton or Paul Mescal enough for them to win. Jacob Elordi would be a fun win because it would signal something outside of Critics' Choice, which is the only major award he's won to date. But something tells me that we might just flip it back to Benicio. So I'm going to go with Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another. And then for supporting actress, um, you know, yeah, Wumi just got BAFTA, but she was kind of a surprise when she won it. Tiana has Globes, and she seems like she might win the Oscar. Amy Madigan also seems like she might win the Oscar, but she doesn't really have a major prize to her name. And I think I'm going to go with Amy Madigan. I think actors know her. She's been around long enough. I think Weapons is accessible and played well enough. It's just, it's not in the other categories because there aren't any other categories for it to be in at the SAG Awards. Like ensemble, I guess, but they only have 5 spots. I don't have 10. If SAG had 10 spots and still didn't nominate Weapons, especially considering it didn't nominate international picks, I would say no. You know what I'm saying? Like Weapons feels like a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 vote. It doesn't feel like it's a top 5 vote for ensemble. But if SAG expanded it so that it could match the Oscars and recognize 10 ensembles, why not? I mean, PGA has that. So if it did that and then Weapons wasn't there, I wouldn't pick Madigan. But I think Weapons would be there because they didn't pick Sentimental Value or Secret Agent, so they have to pick at least 2 other films. And I think Weapons is one of them because Weapons got a PGA nomination. And one of the films that snuck into the Oscars this year was F1. So, and that got a PGA nomination. Um, yeah, I think Weapons would sneak in with a SAG ensemble. So I could see Madigan winning this award. And then for stunts, I don't know, man. It feels weird for me to predict stunts. I don't know, Mission Impossible, maybe. How are you feeling about Mission Impossible? Y'all like that? I don't know. One battle, I have no idea. So we're gonna move on to my Oscar ballot. What would I vote for the awards? All right, so um, I guess we'll start with the award that everybody's dying to know how I would vote: visual effects. Best visual effects. There's something about like, even though it feels kind of like redundant, it's really hard to argue the fact that Avatar, which is one giant visual effect, doesn't get to win this. Like it's one of those weird things where it's like, yeah, it's really, yes, I'm sure The Fire in the Lost Bus was fun. You know, I'm sure Frankenstein looked great and the dinosaurs in Jurassic World were big and strong and cool, but like Avatar is like one giant visual effect. And the amount of shots of that movie and the fact that Cameron continues to push VFX, even I was able to see when the first one came out in 2010. And so I understand what this world looks like, and I'm sure he's only pushed it further. So my gut here is to vote for Avatar in visual effects. So for sound, um, a category that I would have loved to give to Warfare, which is oddly just not nominated. I'm gonna give to F1 for sound in terms of the sound design slash mixing that engaged me the most in this category was F1. I've seen it twice, and F1 would get my vote. For best original song, the only one that really stands out here to me is Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. I honestly can't even remember Lie to You. I have a problem with Sinners that I've mentioned a couple times. It's not that I don't love the movie. It's like every time I've watched Sinners, which is now 3 times, I cannot, for the life of me, remember any of the music from it. It's like having short-term memory loss regarding Sinners. I can't sing you anything from Sinners. I can't. But like while Sinners is playing, I'm totally into the music. So I'm sure I love Lie to You, but like after the movie, I'm like, I don't know if it's because of the hodgepodge of genres or what it is, but I can't pick out Lie to You. Train Dreams is fine. I'm not giving Diane not. She deserved to win. If I could go back in time, I'd give her something for something that was impactful, that actually sort of like made sense and ended up charting. And dear, nobody's heard Dear Me. I know it's from like her own documentary, but if you've seen the documentary, it's basically her begging for an Oscar. Um, Somebody needs to let her write for a film that matters and match her up. Like she should have written that the Top Gun Maverick song that Lady Gaga sang. Like how great would that have been? Like I think if you had matched like Diane Warren with Gaga for that, that was a great song, and I think that would have been enough to put that song over the top. But here, Golden, like it just makes sense. It's like it's the one song anybody's gonna remember. So, score. I really love Begonia, and I'm so glad I get to vote for it here. So my vote is Begonia for score. The fact that he was given 4 words and not he didn't get access to like anything else like the score, pitch, or anything like that. The screenplay or the actual picture, and was told it was like B's Basement. Um, God, what were the other ones? He had like 4 words. Yorgos told him 4 words, and he had to write a score based around that. Blockbuster or something? I don't know. It was like 4 words. Brilliant. I love the score to Begonia. Hair and makeup. I got my gut instinct here is Frankenstein. Plus, I want to vote for something as much as I can that has audio description, so that the Ugly Stepsister just kind of rules itself out. Although I think it's a fun nomination, regardless, even without the audio description, the fact that they would nominate something like that, kudos. Smashing Machine is really just Dwayne Johnson. I'd be willing to go along with that if they had actually nominated Dwayne Johnson and lead actor, but they didn't. So now it's just this weird nomination that still exists. So Smashing Machine can say it's an Academy Award nominated film, which it now is. Um, but ultimately, Frankenstein, I think, is the right answer here for makeup, at least on my perspective. Costumes. Also, I like the narrative for it. I like how Sinners acquired their costumes, in addition to the fact that I know that it's period. There's some description of what here, and I don't want to just straight vote for Frankenstein in every single craft category. So I'm actually going to flip for costume design to Sinners. I think Sinners has some interesting stuff happening, and they acquired their costumes like from another. They repurposed them from another film in sort of a meaningful way, which is kind of fun. Um, in a, when you hear the story of films like Tombstone and Wyatt Earp and how they're battling and trying to absorb the costumes so that the other film can't use any of them, to see Sinners being able to like repurpose costumes is interesting. Production design, Frankenstein again. I feel like just going back to Frankenstein, knowing Del Toro and the way that he approaches visually films, it's sort of like in production design for me. If I see like Del Toro or Burton here, I'm just immediately like, it's probably them, it's probably a Del Toro Burton thing, because they always like this is where they try to bring it on home, is in production design more than anything else. So even if I didn't like Frankenstein or anything else, production design would have been the one thing that I feel like I would be most inclined to vote for it in. Um, Editing, I actually love the editing of Marty Supreme. I also loved F1 as in terms of editing, but Marty Supreme feels like it's running at a sprint the whole time, and that comes from the frenetic editing for the film. So while other people might be voting for other things, my favorite editing of the year is Marty Supreme. He has to keep that pace up. Josh Safdie keeps up an amazing pace. It feels like that film is in a dead sprint the whole time. And for him to keep that up, it's kind of what people were talking about with Uncut Gems, where they felt like anxiety from the film. He's able to push that in Marty Supreme. Like, Marty Supreme feels like it's moving, it's like pulsating, you know? And that comes from really smart, precise editing to keep your movie. It almost at a detriment to its supporting actresses. For anybody who's ever heard me complain about the how I think each actress is missing like a scene that would have gotten them a nomination. Um, he it's like he chooses to not slow down. In terms of the great sacrifice that he makes, he sacrificed his supporting actresses for pacing. So why not give him the Oscar for editing? Cinematography, Train Dreams. It just feels like naturally to me. It feels like the most like aesthetically pleasing movie here of the ones based on everything that I listened to out there in the countryside. I could see them just something about like even though when they walk through the woods, like I could see that being beautiful. You know, Train Dreams to me feels like the kind of film that would land cinematography. Um, I'm not going to do shorts because I would do documentary short. Because I would vote for All the Empty Rooms. I've seen enough of those documentary shorts, not all of them, but I can't imagine anything would change my opinion from All the Empty Rooms. Um, because I have seen like The Devil is Busy and Man with a Camera, and at least I've seen at least like half. I might have seen a fourth one. So that would be my vote there. Haven't seen animated or live action. Uh, I mean, I'd just be picking like a name. I'd be like, I don't know, Friend of Dorothy. I know some people who really like that. Animated, man, I don't even know. I haven't even heard people go like, oh, my favorite animated short this year was blank. Um, so a documentary feature. This one is so tough for me because like The Perfect Neighbor feels like it's the right answer here. Part of me is also super happy to see Come See Me in the Good Light, and it feels like it would be like there's not a chance that that's going to win, right? Like not one single solitary chance that Come See Me in the Good Light wins this award. But I was so charmed by that movie. But The Perfect Neighbor is my second favorite documentary of the year. Deaf President Now was my favorite, and it wasn't nominated. So I got to go with Perfect Neighbor. But I'm so happy that Come See Me in the Good Light is here. And if it wasn't, it's nice to know that I have two films that I would be super passionate about, like incredibly passionate about either one of them winning. If Come See Me in the Good Light somehow magically won this category, I'd be so happy for it. Even though I'm sure people who were like, Perfect Neighbor had something to say, I'd be like, fuck you, have you seen Come See Me in the Good Light? It's beautiful. Um, International feature. So I don't know what the studio behind the voice of Han Rajab is, but I know it's not Neon, and I know Neon has the financial wherewithal to have put audio description on at least sentimental value. On bare minimum, at least sentimental value. I will die on that hill. I'll fight all of the CEOs and everybody at Neon. That film has Elle Fanning. It's half in English. You were just too lazy to do it. So no, I'm not voting for a Neon film this year. I'm gonna vote for the voice of Han Rajab for best international feature, and tell Neon to pound sand continuously for not having. To be fair, none of these films have audio description, but the voice of Han Rajab isn't being backed by a major distributor. So one that has quite the level of familiarity with Oscar campaigns. It doesn't have Best Picture nominees that it did not provide audio description for, thus fucking up the algorithm with how many Best Picture nominees blind people are allowed to see. Like, it doesn't have any of that. So I've actually seen all of these because I was getting screeners, all of them. I have only reviewed It Was Just an Accident and Secret Agent. I've struggled with sentimental value in terms of what to review it, and because like half of it is in English, um, I can't decide if I want to be nice and go fresh or rotten. I'm trying to not be mad at Neon and judge that film fairly, and that's why I haven't reviewed it. Surat would be a fool's errand because it would just be rotten. It's cool music, but there's nothing there to grab onto. And the other two are rotten, simply based on accessibility. Even though it was just an accident, which has lovely, like a really cool plot, like if you know anything about it. But unfortunately, I vote for Voice of Founder Job, which actually has some English in it, by the way. Um, Animated feature. K-pop Demon Hunters is not my favorite anime feature of the year. So in this category, when I'm not trying to appease anybody, I'm not predicting anything, and it's just my vote of to which films I like more. I actually prefer. It would be above. I don't know. It and Elio are about the same to me. I actually even like Arco and the Lomele better, but my vote is for Zootopia 2. I didn't even like Zootopia 1 that much. I thought it was good. It wasn't like when they said, "Ooh, Zootopia 2 is coming." I was like, "Oh, yes, thank God." Um I really wanted a sequel to that. I was like, it's probably gonna be like Frozen 2, one of those things we didn't really need a sequel to, but we have it anyway. Moana 2, like those kind of movies, we just get sequels. I was like, no, actually, I kind of like Zootopia 2 better. It actually kind of built on the buddy cop thing going on there. And um, yeah, I actually liked Zootopia 2 more than one. So um, that's my vote. Adapted screenplay. Um, because I'm going to do something later on, and these are how my votes go. I do think Paul Thomas Anderson deserves to win an Academy Award, so I'm going to vote for One Battle After Another. Um, for Best Adapted Screenplay, and just leave it at that. For Best Original Screenplay, I also believe that Ryan Coogler should be able to say Academy Award winner Ryan Coogler. And the cool thing is that through the screenplay categories, they both could say that, regardless of who wins director. They both could end up winning and becoming Academy Award winners. So my vote for original screenplay is Sinners. My vote for casting is I've gone back and forth between Sinners and Marty Supreme here. There's something that's sort of interesting about the ensemble of Marty Supreme, but there's also something that's just the casting of Sinners and the depth of the ensemble and the way that everybody's used, and a whole bunch of people that we talked about earlier in the year that we thought, oh, Jack O'Connell's great in Sinners, and nobody really talks about him anymore. I mean, there are other people in the cast that were great, and we just kind of moved past them. So I'm gonna go with Sinners for ensemble. For supporting actress, uh, my vote. I have two Neon ladies here. Although I was able to get most of Elle Fanning's performance from Sentimental Value, so I wouldn't hold it against her. I just don't think she has the best performance in this category. Um, and I think I needed more screen time from Tiana Taylor. I think I no, Woman Mashaka didn't even register for me. Like I've seen Sinners 3 times, and I keep trying to latch onto something. I keep trying to figure out what it is that people love about her performance enough for it to win here, like for it to be a standout performance. There are other supporting actress performances this year that stood out more than hers to me. So my vote is Amy Madigan for Weapons. Supporting actor. Uh, this is a weird category for me because I know exactly what I was going to do. I actually knew what I was going to do before, and then I got thrown a curveball. So I'm perfectly happy with Stellan Skarsgård, even though I hate Neon, because I love Stellan, because it's a career narrative for him, and I have no problem jumping on the Stellan train. And then they went and nominated Delroy Lindo. And, oh my God. So I would be happy with either one of these gentlemen winning. But for me, I did not think he was going to get it. And I'm voting Delroy. My Oscar ballot would say Delroy Lindo for Sinners. But also, I'm perfectly happy if Stellan wins because he deserves it over his career. He shouldn't be drugged down because Neon didn't provide the film with audio description. I actually would have voted for him if Delroy was in this category. If this was Paul Mescal instead, I would have voted for Stellan. This would have been my only vote for something that just doesn't have audio description because I believe it's his time over like what Jacob Elordi's first win. What is he, like 20? Like Paul Mescal, he can wait. Like that's his second nomination. He shouldn't be the one. He doesn't win for Hamnet. And both of the One Battle Boys have Oscars. So in that math, Stellan deserves the win. But now we have Delroy. And it's like, it's this happy accident that came in, and now I get to vote for Delroy. For lead actress, I actually prefer Rose Byrne. Um, so, um, it's a tough performance between the two of them to pick between Rose and Jesse, and I could flip on any day of the week. But right now, I'm voting for Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I love both of these actresses, and yeah, so one of them is going to win. That's for sure. It's not going to be one of the other three. There's no surprise victory here. Actor, it's Ethan Hawke for me for Blue Moon. Anybody who's paid attention to me, he was my favorite performance of the year. I did my rankings of all of the performances earlier, and he was number one, so of course I'm voting for him. um, I love his performance in Blue Moon, and I realized that I don't think he'd win, but I'm sure Timmy's gonna get enough votes. For director, like I kind of hinted at when I said adapted, I want to make sure to help Paul Thomas Anderson get that adapted win, because I want to vote Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Even when I was doing my own personal list, Ryan Coogler was my personal number one for Sinners. In every other category that I've been able to vote for that wasn't the Oscars thus far, all the other critic awards, I've always voted for Ryan Coogler, because I believe the singular vision of Sinners and everything is driven by him. I don't think one battle is Paul Thomas Anderson's biggest work. I think we're sort of in a Departed situation where the film is great, but it's not. Departed was not Goodfellas. I like Departed way more than other people, and even I can say Departed is not Goodfellas. For me, Departed is way higher on Scorsese's list than it is for a lot of other people, but it's still not Goodfellas, and One Battle still is not like There Will Be Blood or Boogie Nights. I mean, like there are other films, so I don't feel, but Sinners does kind of feel like the thing that Coogler has been building to this whole time. So I'm perfectly happy with him winning for Sinners. And then for Best Picture of the Year, wow. So if I'm voting for my truly favorite picture of this list, like the one that I had the highest on my list of films from the year, okay, so revisiting my list, just so that you understand, because these are my true votes. These are not like how I would have. This is not me trying to like skew. Basically, I know my vote's a throwaway. It's not going to be something that's winning. I'm not even thinking the One Battle versus Sinners thing that can be decided by other people. But if I'm throwing something at my vote, so my favorite film of the year was The Plague. My runner-up to that was Twinless. My number 3 was If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And my number 4 was Begonia. So I'm voting for Begonia, which is my highest rated film of the year. So because it got the nomination, Begonia ends up getting my vote for Best Picture. Weird, huh? I'd be one of the few people that would log a vote for Begonia for Best Picture. And I think I only voted for it in score. So, yeah, that's it. Those are my votes. That's all the categories. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.